Hello and welcome to my video where I'm going to show you how to sew some sparkly cone trees for Christmas. These are quick to make and are great for Christmas, New Year or really any winter festivity. I'm going to be using fairly sturdy fabric, but almost any woven fabric will do. You just don't want it to be really thick or really thin. A medium weight is ideal. I'm going to be using a chenille upholstery fabric. Now, I'm not really a template sort of person for simple projects, and so I don't work out the exact sizes in advance. Instead, I work it out as I go. So today I'm going to show you how to do that. I first get a piece of fabric, and I work out how big I can make the cone. To do this, I just measure diagonally from one of the corners. In this case, it's about 12 inches. Note that this project is great for using up fabric scraps because you can make the cones any size you want. If your compass isn't large enough, there are two ways to now draw the curve you need for the main shape. One way is to tie one end of non-stretchy string to a push pin and the other end to a fabric marker. I'm using a water-soluble fabric pencil. Note that the height of the finished cone will be about 1 inch less than the distance between the pin and the marker. Then you push the pin into the corner of the fabric and draw a curve. Make sure to keep the pen or pencil upright when you do this. I'm aiming for about 12 inches here, as that's the size of the fabric I have available, and you'll see that it ends up actually being about 11.5 inches instead. The other way is a bit more accurate, and you just pivot your ruler at the corner and keep marking the same distance. And then you just join those marks together to form a curve. Then use fabric scissors to cut along this line. Fold this piece in half, wrong sides together to make sure it's symmetrical. You'll need to trim it if it's not. Then pin together the long edges. Then sew these edges together using the straight stitch on your sewing machine, 1/2 inch from the edge. You just need to sew one straight line, making sure to backstitch at the beginning and the end. If you're hand sewing this instead, just use the backstitch technique. And then you should have something a bit like this. You'll now need to estimate the size of the base you're going to need by opening the cone and placing it onto your fabric. Estimate the circle size you need and then use your compass to draw a circle a bit bigger than what you've marked. It's better to overestimate and then trim it down later on. Cut out the circle. You can then test how this fits. Funnily enough, I got it right first time, but usually it requires a bit of trimming. What you're looking for is for the edges to line up nicely without wrinkles or gaps. It has to fit all the way around. If you don't get it right first time, just trim it down a bit and try again. My base ended up being 5 3/4 inches in diameter. Once it's pinned in place, sew a line of straight stitches, this time 3/8 of an inch from the edge. Note that I only sew halfway around the base, backstitching at the beginning and the end, and that's because I'm going to add a cardboard base inside. You don't have to add a cardboard base. I didn't on the smaller cone that I made, and instead I sewed almost all the way around the base, leaving a gap of about 2 inches. So if you are going to add cardboard, then sew halfway around the base, and if you're not, sew most of the way around but leave a 2-inch gap. The advantage of adding a cardboard base is that it makes the cone flat and more stable. However, it is optional. To make the cardboard base, just place the cone onto some cardboard and draw around the outside. Then use your compass to draw a circle about 1 inch smaller than the one you've marked. Cut out this circle. Once you've sewn on the fabric base, you can remove the pins and turn the cone right side out, like so. When you do this, make sure you push out the top points completely. To help you, you can use a pencil, a chopstick, or a knitting needle. You can then test out the fit of the cardboard base and trim it down if necessary. Then add stuffing to the cone, making sure to use a small amount first to fill the point properly. I'm just using polyester stuffing. And once that's full, you just need to sew up the gap in the base. To do this, I use the invisible stitch. The invisible stitch involves doing a horizontal stitch on one side and then on the other, and just repeating that all the way along. You want to make sure that the stitches are an equal distance from the edges. I have a separate video to help you if you need. Remember, you need to secure the thread at the beginning and the end. And the cone is now complete. To finish, I then just glued some sequins straight onto the fabric. I used UHU all-purpose adhesive. I was originally planning to add sequins all the way down, but I decided to stop here because it gives the look of a snow-capped mountain. And here is a smaller cone that I made, where the main piece of fabric was 9 inches tall, and I didn't add a cardboard base. To decorate this cone, I just pressed on some adhesive gems. However, a few hours later, some of them fell off, so I then had to re-stick them all using glue. And here are the completed cones. Alternatively, you could fill these cones with rice or dried beans or plastic pellets if you want a more weighted ornament, or if you want to use them as doorstops. Or if you don't want to sew at all, you can simply cut a piece of fabric out that will wrap around a styrofoam cone and then glue it into place. As you can see, they really catch the light, and I think they look particularly good on a windowsill. And that's it. I really hope you enjoyed this project, and thank you very much for watching.